I was abducted when I was in school. We entered an ambush. Our vehicle was shot, and everybody in that vehicle died except me. I remained alone. When I went to the captivity, I stayed for 8 years. We were given to men. You stay with that man, and he become your husband. At the same time, they will tell you, you are not a wife, but you are a soldier. Meanwhile, they will be using you for sex, which is really embarrassing. But there's no way you can escape that. You have to accept to protect yourself. From there, life is not easy. Especially now, at least if you don't have a child, it is somehow fair. But if you have a child, in case of any attack, no one will think about you. You have to carry your child, you have to carry something to eat for that child and all that. So you find that women were more suffering than men. There's no chance of escaping for women, especially you can get a chance when you are within Uganda, but from Sudan, no way. And if you have a child, you cannot escape with the child. It's really so difficult because you have to carry food for that child to take you from Sudan up to Uganda. And there are so many rivers which you have to cross. And if you don't know how to swim and you don't know the depths of the water, how will you cross that river? I escaped during an attack. I have a child of 4 years and a child of 6 months. There's no food completely. I cannot even carry the 5-liter jerrycan. I was very weak. I could not move very fast. My children, like the young one, she doesn't have milk. So the child is she have to feed on cassava, raw cassava, all the time. Then if I get some water, I give to the child. And I was carrying bones, but not flesh. But because the child is still breathing, I said I cannot throw the child. I have to go with the child. We were shot. Then I ran, I left my child. I don't know which direction the child took. I took another direction with the younger one. After 3 days, I got my child, just crying in the bush looking for me. And can you imagine a 4-year-old child moving a long distance of which we have already moved for 3 days? She kept on following us every day. She's just sleeping. Only that she was lucky. The wild animal did not get her. Otherwise, the wild animal would have eaten. When I saw my child, I started crying. I said, no, this is too much. I have to leave. Then, after 2 days, we had an attack again. That's the time I got a chance of now escaping. I came back home. But from home, they've already held my funeral rites that I'm dead. Because the message came that the vehicle I was in, everybody died. So my parents, they just knew that I'm dead. No one even was expecting me to come back. Surprisingly, they were shocked when they saw me. Everybody cried. But I thank them because they loved me up to now. Unfortunately, I found my father has passed away. That same year I came back, but that is God's plan. And in fact, I thank even the people who took me back to school. They told me, please go back. At first, I never wanted to go back to school because I said, how can I, from where am I going to begin? It's really so hard for me to go back to school. I have children, and this child is still young. I'm still breastfeeding. Now, in case my child died, if I leave my child and all that. But my people said, no. My mom said, I'm going to keep the child. You go back to school. I went back to school. And now, here I am. That's why I'm really motivated to work for these children. Why we are saying that the government have to apologize is just because the government never protected people. You like from how I was abducted. If I'm to bring, the soldiers were not even 1 kilometer where we were shot, and they could not come and rescued. The first vehicle was shot. We are the second vehicle. What were they doing where they were staying? If we were protected, we would have not been what? Captured. This name Watye Ki Gen, it is in a local language, Acholi language. It means we have hope. Watye Ki Gen started in 2012 by the formerly abducted women. So all their priority was on their children, which they came with, because the mothers, they came and they were received home, but in the rehabilitation center which they went through, no one talked about these children, the younger children they came with from the captivity. And why they brought this issue for their children is because of the stigma which was occurring in the community. People are stigmatizing them with their children. And the children, they came when they are young, they were not aware that their children born from maybe bad character and all that. So out of stigma in the community, the children started realizing that they are also born from captivity. And they are asking their mother, is it true that I was born from captivity? There were a lot of NGOs trying to say that we are working for these people, but they are working in your name. They are getting their benefit in your name. The right people who are supposed to benefit will not get, but you find different people are getting, which is not right. And that's why One and Watye Ki Gen open up, because the mother, they were saying they are tired of now other people working with their name to get their funding, to raise their money for their own use. Many NGOs left, and they left these children to their mother now to begin from where they've stopped. And you find a scenario where a mother is not doing anything. She's rejected from her place. She has come within town, renting within town. So she's struggling to get food. She's struggling to get medication. She's struggling clothing, and let me say all the necessity. She's looking for it. Now, out of that money, she's also supposed to pay for school fees. You find that since she's not affording to pay a school which is having a better standard, she'll just go to this lower level school where she can afford. And you find that at the end, the child is not performing well. The child cannot proceed with the education. And in most cases, these children, where their mother cannot afford, they are dropping out of school because they don't have any money. There's no one to support them. They are dropping out of school, doing nothing. And some of them, like the girls, they are getting pregnant. African culture, they believe that a child belongs to the father's family. You know, in the captivity, the man cannot tell you that my father is from this clan, or I'm from this clan, I'm so and so. And they change even their names. The name which they are using in the captivity is different from the name they have been using from home. If you try to trace where this man comes from, you will not get. And this is what is taking place from this mother. Majority of the mother doesn't know where the husband they gave birth to with their children in the captivity. They don't know where their man comes from. And the children are growing up. They want to know their identity. Out of stigma and rejection which is taking place in the community, the children started asking their mother, where am I belonging? Where is my father? Because the newly father which they are getting, I think they are segregating these children. They are discriminating these children. The children started asking them, is this one my father? If it is my father, why is he segregating me? Why is it the community rejecting me? The mother doesn't have now answer for that question. It's really a very tough question, because I don't know where my man comes from. Now the child is asking me. The child wants to know where the father comes from. Now, how will I answer to the child? The child will grow up with that hunger in himself or herself. You find that these children, since they don't have their identity, they are mostly taken to the mother side. But the people from the mother side, they are not accepting these children because they fear that if the child grow, the child will need some land from them. The child will need some other resources from them, need to be divided. Maybe if in future, if the children have grown up and they got something to do, they started working, they might buy their own land out of the money which they have. But if they are not even educated, what kind of citizen are they going to be? They don't have land, they don't have identity, they are rejected, they are discriminated. They end up now doing some bad thing. We need to deal with it right now at the beginning, since they have not yet reached that level of busting out. I love my children so much. I thank God. God has given me only girls, of which it's my favorite. I can manage. So, I love them, and I want them to be at least somebody in future. They are going to school, right? Because I'm struggling for them. We are hoping so highly for these children. Though we are a CBO, community-based organization, but we want to challenge the higher NGOs for the great work we are doing. If other people could come to support us, I know the future of Watye Ki Gen and the future of these children will be brighter, and it will be a record in the world. We want to see that we have doctors out of these children, we have teachers, we have lawyers. If president can come even out of these children, we shall be very grateful. And that is what we want to see out of these children. And I know they will make it because they have that capacity.